Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Seeking the Bridge podcast today. This is our second episode. We have Sifu Bender back again, and Sifu Francis Durr is with us as well. Today, we're just going to talk a little bit more about Wing Chun. I want to start off with asking you guys, how are you guys doing with the whole pandemic and so far, and how are you coping with it?
Everything's okay.
You good,
Yeah,
Sifu?
everything's okay with over here. Just trying to learn how to continue the Wing Chun spirit while everyone is away from each other. You know, we can't work out with each other, but it's important to keep the Wing Chun spirit alive.
Yeah, I agree. And this brings me to a little topic. This last weekend, I was riding a one-wheel pint, and I'm a huge electric vehicle guy. And I've been 150 miles on that device without any injuries or accidents. The only thing that got me this time was I saw my mom drive by on the street. I got a little too excited. And previously on an electric skateboard, I would have been able to chase her down and reach out to her. Unfortunately, for the one wheel going up a hill, it's already too much power for it. And there is a speed limiter. If you go past the limiter, you eventually face plant into the ground. So as I almost reached my destination, I see her drive away and the device slows down. And I was like, oh, something's not right. And I face planted to the ground. So I called her to come back, and she passed me back up on the street, and she wasn't too happy, which means I need to get her a good Mother's Day present. And one thing is that I did get it checked out yesterday at the UCSF Medical Center, and the x-rays came out fine. And I do credit my dad, rest in peace. He passed away a few years back. But when I was a kid, around 6, I remember I was breakdancing on the couch and I broke my wrist. And he's a hardcore kung fu guy who did a little bit of Chow Fut and decided to not bring me to the hospital and use something called Di Da Jiao. And that Di Da Jiao is a Chinese herbal medicine that's used to heal bruises. And I always thought it was kind of weird where it would smell funny, and everyone else who broke their wrist at school had a cast, but I didn't. And I ended up getting a little bit larger of a bone when it healed, because it never healed right. I found out later in life. But that may have done it actually better than before, because I've also done Wing Chun for about 9 years now under Sifu Ben. And he's taught me a lot about the Huen Sau, which we're going to talk about later today. And it's a movement where I'll do it by good hand. You bring it down straight, and you twist it, and you build up the wrist strength. And over time, maybe Sifu Ben can show us, his wrists are ginormous, huge for someone his age who's 79. To his credit, I think that may have strengthened my wrists and braced myself a little bit stronger than if I had not done the Wing Chun. That leads me into Sifu Ben. Sifu, can you explain what a Huen Sau is?
Huen Sau 咧喺詠春嚟講咧，you want me? Yeah, I speak English.
Yeah. Either way, we'll teach the new listeners some Cantonese. But yeah, let's go with English for now.
Okay. Well, Huen Sau in Wing Chun is very, very important. The reason to the Huen Sau is, to build up your wrist, the wrist in your arm, because in Wing Chun we emphasize so much on Huen Sau. A lot of people, without learning do a lot of Huen Sau exercise, the wrist is not strong enough. For instance, if the person, the wrist is not strong, when they fall down or when they fight with somebody, even though he punches the guy on the ground, but 90% of them, because the wrist is not strong enough, or they do not align the position of the wrist, and then they will break the wrist. Impact is too powerful, then his wrist is not strong enough to protect him, to build up the bone alignment. For instance, if the guy fall down, when they fall down, normally they use the hand touch the ground. But because the body coming down with the weight and the speed coming down, when both hands on the ground that moment, if the wrist is not strong, then they will break the wrist too. In order to build up the energy on the wrist, we do have a lot of Huen Sau. Most people, they have a lot of muscle all over the place, but the wrist is pretty small because they are not emphasized specifically trained on the wrist.
can you put your wrist to the camera so we can see your wrist and
Yeah.
see the size of it? Because for someone who's 79, if you take a look at that wrist, for the viewers that are watching this on YouTube, you can see his wrists are huge. So it's not small for any means. And Sifu Ben is maybe you're a little over 100 pounds and about, what's your height? 5 foot, about. Do you know, Sifu, your height?
Yeah, I'm 5'4".
Yeah, so for someone 5'4" and that age, his wrist is huge. And he's been doing that. And I know when I first started, Sifu talked about how he would be stuck in driving in traffic and he would do Huen Sau while he was driving with one hand and Huen Sau on his right hand, right?
Yep, because of since I know the importance of the Huen Sau, and whenever I have the time, when I wash my hand, I just do a lot of this to get the opportunity using it. Even though when I'm driving, my hand is doing like this. So as a matter of fact, this morning, I have been walking every morning since the virus right now. Every morning when I walk, I do like this. Every time when I do this, my hand is doing like this when I'm walking, both hands. So that means I fully enjoy doing this, because when I'm doing this, I know this thing will build up my wrist energy, especially the wrist. When someone grab you, if your wrist is not strong, you cannot even break his arm out. So that means the wrist is very, very important of our lineage. In Wing Chun, in order to build up the strength on your wrist, I do a lot of this kind of movement. Do a lot of this when I'm turning. When I'm turning that time, I bring this finger all the way. I want to pull all the way, and then I turn slowly, doing this way, and then I do it with quantity of amount of time. I do a lot of time. Left hand and then right hand. So I do a lot of this, and also sometimes I do this, and also I do this too. Left, right, left, right. But I will not do this. This, really do not help. Doing this or doing this.
So for the people who can't see the podcast, what Sifu is doing, he's keeping his hands straight forward and he's isolating his elbow and not moving his elbow while moving his wrists left and right. And then
the wrist is stationary, but he's moving his fingers from left to right and then moving his fingers up and down, but keeping the wrist in the same spot in three-dimensional space as well as the elbow, but moving the fingers up and down and then left and right. Does that sound about right, Wilson?
Yep, that's exactly. I was trying to put into words, and you got it right there. That's why you're a Sifu.
Yep. This is how I do on the wrist.
So Huen Sau, how does that translate into English? What does Huen Sau mean?
Huen is in English. What I think is Huen is turning your wrist. Turning your wrist, move your make your wrist moving.
Like a rotation, maybe a rotation. Would that work? Like a wrist rotation?
I think rotation or the rotation or
circular. Is it circular?
Yeah, in circular movement, this is Huen, but like this is not circular. And horizontally and vertically, and also could build up your wrist.
There's no name in Chinese or Cantonese for the isolated finger movements, like a Saoji Sao, or I don't know.
In Chinese, we say the wrist is 手頸力 or 腕力. 腕 is
like a bowl.
Sao Wen is like the wrist.
Sao Cantonese speaking.
Okay.
The Sao you know, a lot of in Cantonese, this is the gang, right?
The neck, yes.
You know, the hand over here, this is the gang of the hand.
So yeah, so the wrist, so the wrist is considered the neck of the arm and the hand.
Right.
Okay.
The neck of the neck of the hand.
Okay. Francis, do you have any questions about? I think you had something you want to talk about earlier with your dad, and that was an interesting topic.
Yeah, I think it'd be it's kind of interesting to you know, because you've been Dad, you've been in Wing Chun for so long, and as I was growing up, I see you read a lot of martial arts books, you know, like some of the classics. And what I just wanted to know, what martial arts books have you read, you know, have growing up and or during your martial arts career have influenced you the most?
Well, you know, like since I like Wing Chun so much, you know that once I start learning Wing Chun, you know, like my first book of Wing Chun is you know, when I came to San Francisco, you know, in 1959 at the time, you know, I went to the Chinatown, the store, buy one set of Wing Chun. That is, you know, 蛇學爭雄. And then they have 4 little books, you know, 4 books like that, talking about Wing Chun, how it started, all the way from person, you know, from one Sifu after another Sifu. Actually, it's from how the history of the Wing Chun, you know, from Wing Chun, and then Leung Sheung, and then like Zhao Qianhua, and then Yip Man, and then finally at the end, the book talk about Wing Chun. You know, Yip Man, he get the you know 4 last 4 students, really build up the name, and then Leung Sheung was one of them, and then he also mentioned about Wang Sun Leung too. But that book is considered is a very collectible item now. You know, as a matter of fact, you know that 4 books. I brought it to Sifu Ken, bring it to Fasan. I think they in a museum or something like that book because I donated to them. But since I like Wing Chun so much, whatever I find any article about Wing Chun on the magazine or newspaper, whenever I find it, I got it. I buy it. If I cannot buy it, during that time, I try to steal it. But anyway, you know, like, you know, the most famous one is the most something like that. You know, I forgot the name. Every week they have like coming out something about martial art. The earliest stage that was printed out as 1955, 54, 55 that time.
This is in Hong Kong.
And then, like, as a matter of fact, you know, Quentin Fong and I, you know, have a lot of those. And then Quentin Fong, you know, I mean that article they talk about all different martial art, but you know they have White Crane, they have Wing Chun. During that time, I like to read about the Wing Chun, the article. That time, you know, have Leung Sheung and Lo Yu, you know, showing the Chi Sao and the picture and about Wing Chun history, anything about Wing Chun. That's why, you know, during that time, I used the camera, you know, to take it into picture, and then like, and then I bring it, you know, into you know, to keep it as a, you know, for
memory
collection.
Yeah.
So, you know, anytime like when I see anything related to Wing Chun, I clip it out and then put in a book about Wing Chun. Talking about the Wing Chun on side story or something like that, I have quite a bit of those information. And then after the night, Mo Hap Xiu Xue Wang. Yeah, I remember that name, Mo Hap Xiu Xue Wang. And then after in 1960, 69 that time, 65 or 60 something that time. And then there's another martial art magazine they call Sen Mo Hap. Sen Mo Hap is similar to the old one, but you know, talking about all different style, and then what style doing, what is the most famous thing, and then they have question and answer column, for people to ask the question like that. And it has been, like came out, for many years. I collect quite a bit of them, but most of them I just clip out, take all the Wing Chun thing, into there. Then the reason I want to keep it because I do not, I have the urge to find out more about Wing Chun. So the technique about Wing Chun and this and that, until I learned from Sifu Ken. After I learned from him. Then I stopped buying all those magazines. Like that's why like nowadays those YouTube and there are so many so many people doing the Wing Chun thing. I hardly watch all those things. So that's the thing I like to do.
Yeah. So I remember when growing up, when the TV show Kung Fu came out on TV, we as a family we watched a lot, as many as we could. Like there's only 3 channels at the time, but what did you think of that Kung Fu TV series?
Well, honestly, the Kung Fu movie. What I always tell my family, wow, the main character. I mean the actor, the actor. Too bad it's not Bruce Lee. If it's him, I would be love it because of like I on that movie, the Kung Fu movie. I mean those movement is to me it's very very mostly look like karate thing. So I don't see any of the Wing Chun thing in there. I mean, or to me, it's not many real kung fu move action, in there. But the story and the philosophy, is pretty good. So that's the whole thing. Like I said again, too bad it's not the Bruce Lee is the main actor.
Yeah. Speaking of Bruce Lee, so which Bruce Lee movies were your favorite one?
My favorite movie on Bruce Lee is the Chinese Connection.
Is that
Yeah.
Jing Mo Mun?
Yeah, the Chinese Connection, I like it because it really show a little bit history about the Kung Fu in China, especially like during that time, every country tried to get advantage of China. Like especially the scene he fight with those Japanese guy in the studio, tell the guy eat the sick man of Asia. That guy, that I like it the most. The action movie is very good too.
Did you see Jing Mo Mun? Did you see that in the theaters?
Yeah, actually, when the Jing movement, that time, like when they first came out, Uncle Ken and I, was invited by some martial art people. We go there to watch the movie for free, and then for just beginning that time, and then after he fought with during the movie, after Bruce Lee beat all those guys, I saw all the audience stand up and clap their hand. Very cool.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
That was I think that time was in Sun Sing Theater, I think.
Where was that?
Chinatown, right?
Yeah.
On Broadway.
That's the one that got tore down. It's not there anymore.
So I think Sun Sing is on Grand Avenue, that one.
Oh, okay. Is that the place where Bruce Lee did the cha-cha?
Yes, I think Bruce Lee and Jiang Zhongwen. Jiang Zhongwen she was one of the very famous actress during that time. Jiang Zhongwen is from Taiwan, and then she and Bruce Lee did the cha-cha performance over there
On stage, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So these movies that have Wing Chun in it, some of the recent ones, the Yip Man movies. Which movie did you like out of those?
Well, according to the Yip Man movie, to me, I I like the one the second one.
Oh, Sammo Hung.
Yeah, and with Samuel Hong that one. I like that one.
Oh, Hong Gumbo, right?
Yeah. That one a little bit more. I mean, related to a little bit true story of him. But afterward, it's all the thing. The number three. I mean, they fight. Very. Pretty good. And some
So,
you can see some of the Wing Chun movement. But of course, like they have to be dramatized a little bit.
yeah. What did you think of the Wing Chun in those movies?
Well, the Wing Chun, you can see the the punch and that kind of thing. But for mainly it's for entertainment. That's what I think. But like especially for people who do not know martial art, they like it a lot.
Not application, right? So there's not much application in real life. You would not do that. I
Yeah,
see what you're doing, Francis.
Well, like especially he fight with Mike Tyson that one.
Yeah, no, a man would not fight Mike Tyson.
That was pretty good. It's pretty good movie though. It's very entertainment.
Very entertaining. And there's also, in terms of movies, one of your old students, Melvin Wong, always talks about how you taught him Sil Nim Tao, which is the first set little idea. He credits Sifu Ben at beating out William Cheung in a role of Descendants of Wing Chun. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what they say. But actually, Melvin is a very nice guy, and then he learned things very fast too. I still remember that the time he and I worked in the Fong in Chinatown. During that time, he was very very popular in his group. All I know is a lot of girls around him that time. But anyway, the time I bring him to Quentin Fong, Sifu Quentin Fong, and about 2 or 3 guys work in the same place too. So all those kids were very good in basketball, and then they like to join, to start the same class with Sifu Quentin Fong.
Are those all I would consider American-born Chinese or ABCs that you brought over there?
Yeah, I think all of them are ABC. The time I bring to Quentin, except me and Graham Lau and Gordon G. 3 of us is not born in USA.
That's pretty funny because it seems like you always bring students to teachers that don't want to teach Kung Fu. So Quentin Fong and then also Sifu Ken, right? So you're the first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
what they say, if not Ben, I will never teach. This thing shows how much I love about martial art, and that's why I always try to encourage people. Come on, we all want to learn from you because you don't have people. Don't worry. Let me. I find some guy and come together.
That spirit that you have, it transfers to other people too. I ran into one of your students about a year or 2 ago in Chinatown. Brought over to your birthday in February.
Oh yeah.
And I remember he told me that when he went down to LA once, he visited Hawkins, and all he said was Sifu Bender, and Hawkins said, "Oh, that's all you have to say." And he said Hawkins took him around LA. He didn't even know him, and took him around town and showed him around Los Angeles, brought him to a few kung fu schools. I remember going to Sifu Quentin Fong's house, who is my parents' house's like neighbor in San Francisco. All I said was Sifu Ben. Oh, Sifu Ben. Oh, Bender. Oh, I know Bender. That was my first student. And he's like, and I'm like, well, I know you don't take students anymore, but I just want to see. He's like, you know what? You're one of his kids. You're all right. I'll take you in. So in a weird way, Sifu Ben is my Dai Si Hing from that side of the kung fu. But whereas Sifu Ben was the first student, I'm his last. Now I'm not claiming that I know White Crane at all, because I definitely don't. I'm not even going to put that out there. But it's funny how the spirit that Sifu Ben had, his curiosity of kung fu from when he first started, about that was at least the 60s, I would assume, till 2000 and maybe it was like 16 or 17 that I met Sifu Quentin Fong. He left a very good impression on that Sifu, so that the spirit is alive everywhere you touch.
Yeah, yeah. Like I have a very good relation with those people. I mean, they treat me all very nice. They can show me all the technique very very openly. Never will try to hide anything. So I really consider very lucky. Hawkins, like when I was in Hong Kong, he was he sat in front of me, in the class. A lot of time he showed me some of the Wing Chun too, because he's more senior than I am that time. And then he showed me some of the Wing Chun, the hand, and do some Chi Sao like that. Hawkins and I are very we are in a very good term.
He also said he was a better cha-cha dancer. That's what he said. He said my kung fu right now is, Sifu Ben may have better Wing Chun than me, but I can still beat him in a cha-cha dance. He said the last time we was at.
That guy is good. Hawkins cha-cha is pretty good too. I remember that like in when we were teenagers at that time, in the party, Bruce Lee, Hawkins, in the dancing party, a lot of time they really get their attention.
It seems like they always compete against each other. Him and Bruce were always going back to back. He said they competed against in dancing, competed in fighting and everything else too. They're very competitive friends.
Well, like Hawkins, actually Hawkins know Bruce Lee more than I am. I think they live close by together, something like that. I know Bruce Lee actually is from Hawkins too, from Hawkins and from Bruce Lee's cousin. The one I in Hong Kong, his name is James Lau. But James Lau and I were very close. So like that's how I know Bruce, and then they come to my house and have fun together and like that.
In terms of Bruce's Wing Chun, when he said, I was reading somewhere saying that he learned the third set from Leung Sheung. Is that true?
I have not. I don't know. All I know that Bruce Lee learned a lot from Wang Sun Leung.
Okay, so a lot of his was Wang Sun Leung.
He learned a lot from Wang Sun Leung. But like actually Wang Sun Leung in 1959 that time, he considered very very famous in Wing Chun, mainly because he fight with a lot of other style people, and he likes to challenge people too. And that's why as far as the famous, the popular and everybody know about Wing Chun, they will say Wang Sun Leung. But the people good in Wing Chun, they know it is Leung Sheung. Yeah.
I visited a lot of schools, and some people that don't speak English, the Cantonese speakers, the older ones, they always refer to, oh yes, Dai Si Heng was the best.
Yeah. Leung Sheung, is always say in Wing Chun people, they know me. His level is way past, go outside and challenge people like Wang Sun Leung, William Cheung, and Wang Kiu, and those guys.
Yeah, he didn't have to go out to show off.
I think that the age is different too, and the age is different, and then the lifestyle is different. They have to take care of family and this and that. But all those kids, they're all single. They have nothing to do. They go to fight and then to have fun. When I come to USA at the time, I was very very lonely because I don't have any friend. Once I find out somebody know little bit Wing Chun, I go crazy and let's get together, work out. That's how it is. I said, like Che's father, was one of the person. I have the most fun.
When you decided to bring your students over to learn from Sifu Ken, who were some of those students?
Okay, let me see. Number one is Sydney Wong, and then Jin Wu. All those guys, they used to learn from me before I learned from Sifu Ken. The reason they want to learn from me, during that time I told him, hey, my Wing Chun not good enough to be a teacher. He said, man, don't worry, you know little bit is better than nothing, because during that time in Chinatown, nobody don't know Wing Chun.
You could have made it up. You could just told them that I made a this is the whole Wing Chun set. They would have done no difference. That's how you make money. I'm kidding. Don't do that.
Anyway, one of the guy was Ya Wu. I don't know you heard of it. You know, he's very famous in Chinatown. But all those guys, they all learn from all different toilet. In Chinatown, is very active in martial art circle. When I bring it to Ken that time, they all happy. So we have an instant class when Ken start. That time I live on Bush Street, San Francisco Bush Street. So we work downstairs on the Bush Street, the basement. And that building is my ex-mother-in-law's house. We have a wind dummy and everything. It's very nice. And afterward, a lot of people find out Wing Chun. They getting more and more people afterward.
So who are some of the other students that Sifu Ken taught during that time?
On Bush Street?
Yeah.
Besides me, there's Gay Cho, John Wong, Wilson, Mike Lam, Bradford Louis, Gary Chen. There are many. And like Eddie Chong. So like a lot of them, they're still around.
I just want to see if I can get Sifu Ben doing the first subset of the first set Sil Nim Tao and do a little explanation if he's willing to do that.
Yeah, first subset Siu Nim Tao, and then when I'm doing it, I explain at the same time.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Let's say the Siu Nim Tao, is
See if you might have to go a little further back. Yeah, that's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
The Siu Nim Tao, is the first, beginning of the Wing Chun set. Siu Nim Tao, most important is my head up, my body relaxed, my shoulder relaxed, and then my chest relaxed. Everybody, the whole body is going to be relaxed. And then my body is all vertically like this. From here, all the way straight down. I lower down my body, my horse, and then become the Kim Yang Ma. Kim Yang Ma is to build up the knee energy in here. And then, first of all, my eye look forward. This we call Sheung Gang Sau. You could say this is a Sheung Tan Sau. And then I bring it back into here. See, this fist I want to put in next to my chest. It's not like this, not like this. Right next to it. Then left hand, I place my hand to my center, punch. Now I'm doing my Huen Sau. The purpose of doing this is to build up my wrist. Okay? And bring it back again. After this is my right hand put in here. One punch. From here to here and here is a triangle. And this hand is right at my center. In again. Now I'm going to learn doing the Tan Sau. The Tan Sau at this angle. I'm going to bring it down a little bit like this. Coming out slowly with my left hand. My angle of the toe, the finger, it go to my center and then going forward, slowly coming out. After I bring my hand forward the time, I want to make my position of this hand not this way, horizontally going forward like this until 1 fist apart. 1 fist apart is I put the hand in here, my elbow is at this angle. Then I do the Huen Sau. And this hand become a Wu Sau. The Wu Sau, I want to make sure this palm is vertically at my center. And the pinky is go straight forward. And then my palm is 100% facing on this side. Not like this, not like this. 100%. At the same time, my eye is looking forward. And then I bring it back slowly. When I bring it back slowly, into this position. Now I become Hok Sau. My Hok Sau is coming forward to the center too. And then also over here is horizontally. And my energy, coming forward like this, and my Hok Sau coming forward and coming back. I do not tense it up my arm. I don't need to be like this. Just slowly coming forward, slowly bring it back. Slowly, the better, is good. Is the slower the better. But make sure do not stop. The whole thing is flow. Hok Sau coming forward, 1 fist apart. Turn again. Then doing like this. I repeat this for 3 times. 3 times. The reason we do 3 times in Wing Chun, that pretty much to emphasize the important part of the movement. Okay. After to this position, then I push forward. When I push forward, I don't want to push this way. Don't want to push this way. Right next to my shoulder. The elbow touching my body. The elbow touch my body, and then I push. Bring it back to the center and chin. When I do the chin sau, I want to lock this part. The elbow I lock all the way. And after I chin, I try to make my palm become a little bit more 90-degree angle, okay? Again. And then I do Huen Sau again. Okay, when I pull back my hand like this the time, my elbow is not like this. When I pull back like this, and after this, my right hand do the same job. The reason we do the left side first, because we want you to be your left hand as good as your right hand. Yeah, most people are right-handed. Again, I want to make sure the palm is going to be like this, the finger. Coming forward to the center.
There's one thing Sifu has taught me with the left hand and right hand. I have now been able to use chopsticks with my left hand better than my right hand, because I it's pretty cool. So
Yeah. So I go back to the right hand, and then I do the same thing for the 3 times. Again, showing about 3 times. When you're doing this, make sure your body maintain still, your head maintain forward. And then when I'm doing this time, I want to make sure my eyes do not look at my hand doing it. My eye look forward. And then when I'm coming out slowly like that, really want to build up your elbow energy slowly forward. Do it slowly. Also, it could make your knee more painful. Then you will work on your knee too. Otherwise, we don't want to just stand doing like this. So that means the slower you do, the correct way you do the first set will be very tiring. And 90% of people, when they start, the leg starts shaking. And then I turn again for 3 times. And after this hand, after 3 times, again I push. Go back to the center. I chin. I don't want to chin too high, right in front of me. So again, from here to here is a triangle.
Sifu's pointing to his shoulders, from his left shoulder to his right shoulder, and then to his hand extended forward.
And bring it back. So this is the first subset of the Wing Chun.
Thank you, Sifu. That's very, very nice for you to do that for us. And it's one of my favorite sets for me to always go back and try to refine. It looks like this is enough time for today. And next week we'll come back and most likely bring back Sifu, and we'll have even more stories and have a chance for him to break down some other hands in the first set, Sil Nim Tao. Thank you, Sifu.
Good.
And Francis as well.
Thank you.
You guys be safe out there and have a great day.
Okay, bye-bye.